태양경찰청 해상안전과장인데요.
네, 그렇습니다.
그 지금 세월호 상태 어떤지 알고 있어요?
저희도 지금 계속 파악 중입니다. 지금 기울어져 있고 퇴선을 했는지 안 했는지 모르겠고.
그 몇 명 탔나?
지금 450명으로 저한테 보고 들어왔습니다.
April 16th, 2014, 8 a.m., South Korea. The MV Sewol, a 6,800-ton passenger ferry, quietly sails through the calm waters off South Korea's southern coast. On board are over 470 people. Most of them are high school students from Danwon High School, heading to Jeju Island for a school trip. The atmosphere is peaceful. The weather is clear. The sea is calm. Inside the ferry, students are joking with each other in the hallways, taking selfies, texting friends, or napping in their cabins. Teachers are scattered across different parts of the ship. Crew members go about their routine duties. Everything seems normal. The ship had departed the night before from Incheon, a busy port west of Seoul. It was expected to arrive in Jeju by late morning. For many of these students, it was their first trip away from home without their parents. Excitement filled the air. But beneath the surface, things weren't as safe as they seemed. The MV Sewol was heavily modified, its structure altered to carry more cargo and passengers than it was originally designed for. Its cargo bay was overloaded. Hundreds of tons of cargo were strapped down in the lower deck, and many of them were not properly secured. The ship's balance was compromised before it even left port. Still, no one on board knew any of this. To them, it was just another ferry ride. At 8:48 a.m., the ferry makes a sharp turn. It would be the beginning of one of South Korea's deadliest maritime disasters. Just a slight sway from a wave, but a sharp, unnatural lean to the left. Passengers feel it immediately. Within moments, the turn that caused this was made by a third mate, not the ship's captain. She had only limited experience steering the Sewol. As the ship approached a relatively narrow channel, she gave an order to turn sharply to starboard. The maneuver was too aggressive for a vessel of that size and weight, especially one so heavily loaded and improperly balanced. At that critical moment, hundreds of tons of unsecured cargo shifted all at once. The center of gravity moved violently. Combined with the turn, it created a sudden imbalance that the ship slowly, silently. In the control room, the crew knew something was wrong. But there was no immediate emergency signal, no evacuation order. Passengers were not told to leave their cabins. Instead, many were left confused, trying to steady themselves against the walls or hold on to handrails as the ship continued to lean farther. Some students pulled out their phones and began recording. Laughter mixed with nervous voices. At first, many thought it was just a temporary issue. They expected things to stabilize, but the tilt did. The crew radioed for help at 8:58 a.m. They reported that the ship was listing, but still did a standard maritime response, not a mass rescue. Inside the ship, time was slipping away. Cabins that were once horizontal were now angled. Most people on board didn't realize just how serious it had become. Walking is nearly impossible. Floors have turned into steep slopes. Gravity pulls everything sideways. But still, there are no alarms, no announcements, no clear instructions. Passengers are left to guess what's happening. Some of the students, still inside their cabins, wait for directions. Their teachers tell them to stay put, following what little information they've been given. A few of them peek out into the hallways but see no crew members. No one is guiding them. The ship feels abandoned. The intercom finally crackles to life. A calm voice says, "Stay where you are. Do not move." There is no urgency, no explanation, no command to evacuate. Most passengers listen. They trust the crew. They believe help is coming, and that someone, somewhere, is in control. But the truth is, there is no organized response. The bridge is in disarray. Some crew members are frozen, unsure of what to do. Others are already preparing to leave the ship. The captain, Lee Jun-seok, is nowhere near the passengers. He remains on the bridge for now, giving few orders and delaying evacuation. By now, water has begun to flood into parts of the lower deck. The ship is no longer just tilted. It's slowly sinking. But from inside, the process is silent. There's no sound of crashing waves or creaking metal, just the growing sense that something is very wrong. For the passengers of the MV Sewol, there is no guidance, no leadership, just confusion, hesitation, and time that's running out. And with every passing minute, escape becomes harder. Up above, the ship's crew was already preparing to leave. They didn't go room to room. They didn't organize an evacuation. They didn't even try. Some crew members quietly climbed out onto the tilted deck. A few were spotted wearing life jackets, standing in line, waiting for rescue. Others jumped into the sea. By the time the situation had become visibly catastrophic, the captain himself, Lee Jun-seok, had already abandoned the bridge. He did not make a final round. He did not give a direct evacuation order. He simply left. Later investigations revealed that the crew had failed to follow even the most basic emergency protocols. They were not trained properly. Some weren't even sure how to use the ship's public address system. And when the moment came, they chose to save themselves. At least 22 crew members escaped the Sewol that day. Nearly all of them survived. Below them, 304 passengers were left behind. Most of those who died were not trapped by the structure of the ship. They were not pinned by debris. They weren't physically prevented from escaping. They died because they waited. They waited for someone to come back for them. No one did. In the weeks that followed, the South Korean public watched in disbelief as the truth came out. Video footage surfaced of the captain, disheveled and wrapped in a blanket, being questioned by reporters. He claimed he gave the order to evacuate, but no passengers had heard it. His lie unraveled quickly. The investigation concluded what the victims' families already knew. This was not just a maritime accident. This was a failure of leadership. Captain Lee Jun-seok was later found guilty of gross negligence and sentenced to life in prison. Other senior crew members received long prison terms as well. The court ruled that their actions directly caused the deaths of hundreds of passengers, and that they had violated one of the oldest codes of the sea. The captain is the last to leave the ship, not the first. But for the families of the victims, justice came too late. They had trusted a system that failed at every level. They had sent their children on what should have been a simple school trip. And they had watched, helpless, as a ship full of young lives was lost. Not to a storm, not to fire, but to silence, cowardice, and betrayal. The MV Sewol now lies at the bottom of the sea. But the questions it raised about duty, accountability, and the value of a human life still echo loudly today.